Hey guys, welcome. Hannah here, the Life Purpose Queen, awakening you to your dreams. Here we are talking about the big Doreen Virtue topic. The big Doreen Virtue topic. So this will be really interesting, right? Let me grab these cards. Goodness me, I didn't even grab them. These most important ones, right? These are the ones that I have been going around. I wasn't going to talk about the whole Doreen Virtue thing, but I had about 5 messages yesterday. People were like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, maybe I need to talk about it. So let me share this, and I'm going to talk about the big Doreen Virtue topic and what this has to do with Atlantis, Lumeria, and Christ Consciousness, and kind of like why this is happening, right? Why would somebody create and dedicate their life's work to so many amazing things and then turn around and say it's all the devil's work, or say that it's wrong or negative or bad, or like who would do that and why, right? We'll dive into this. Hey Tammy, say hi when you join live, guys. And hey Matthew, let me turn this around because I didn't turn this around yet, and I feel like, yeah, I really want to share some things on this live stream today. All right. So this is a pretty big topic, and I just want to start by saying, like, I love Doreen Virtue, like I really do. Like, as you can see, I've got a lot of her books and I've got so many of her card decks. She was one of the very first people that started this journey for me. This book was one of the very first books that I ever read. Yeah, I just read about this the other day. Let me know if you guys have seen the article going on and going around about this. Hey, Belle. All right, let me share this and I'll show it, be present with you. And let me know, like, do you guys love Doreen Virtue? Do you have some of her stuff? You know, are you worried about it now? Like, what's going on for you with these things that she's all of a sudden turned around and saying it's all the devil's work and it's all bad? It's kind of like a bit conflicting and confusing, right? All right, I'll just share this and I'll be present with you. You just bought another deck of cards today. Was that by Doreen Virtue, do you mean? Makes you sad you got all of her cards. Yep, and most are autographed. Yes, I've got some autographed stuff too. Breaks my heart because I don't know what to think. Awesome. Yes, let me share about this, right? Because I've got a lot to say about it, because yeah, it's been a big conflicting thing for a lot of people. Yep, Doreen Virtue. Yep, she started your journey too. Yeah, powerful, right? So let me bring this up. Okay, cool. Yeah, so big deal. Yeah, really big deal. You know, and the biggest thing, like yesterday, well, a couple of days ago, whenever it first came out, about these cards, right? Now, you know, I just want to start off by saying is that anything is good or bad. Like, nothing is good or bad. Only our thinking makes it so. Nothing holds a vibration until we put energy onto what this is about. Everything is neutral until we have a judgment about it. Everything. Yeah? Now, it's interesting because, you know, especially these cards, when I, you know, a couple of people like private messaged me and said, you know, what do we think about this? And it's got like big warning labels, and then I saw other things coming up in my feed about it. Someone was saying, you know, like, oh, she's like putting warnings across like a bloomin' tobacco company and like all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, like. And you know, when this Doreen Virtue stuff started, you know, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was going to live stream about it, and I was like, oh, I don't really feel called to, you know, like. And the only reason I'm doing it now is because it's come up again and people are messaging me, and I'm like, okay, I'll say what I really think about it. And you know what I really think about it is, ultimately she is following what's right for her. At the end of the day, that's all it is, you know. But then the power, right? The power comes in, and this is what I'm really passionate about, is that whatever we focus on brings more about, right? And I saw someone else post yesterday, and I was like, yes, 100%. Like, instead of promoting what you hate, why don't you just focus on what you love? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you know, and it's like Mother Teresa is that, whatever that saying was, you know, like, invite me to an anti-war rally and you will not find me. Like, invite me to a peace rally and I'll be there with bells on, like, or whatever she said, right? It's exactly that. Like, the thing is about, you know, the truth about what goes on, you know, everything is neutral until we put something on it, until we have a judgment about it, until we feel into it, until we make a decision about something, right? I'm not sure what John of God from Brazil did. I'm not sure what that's about. And this is where I want to talk about, you know, like, there's also lots of things I want to talk about. But number one is these cards that, you know, were connected to that, the article that I saw going around, right? And these cards, like, these are the archangels. Now, correct me if I am wrong, because I'm not really sure. I'm not up on this stuff, but doesn't Christianity believe in things like Archangel Michael? Like, don't they believe in things like that? Like, I don't know that religion deep enough, but like, where does Archangel Michael come from? Like, where does Saint Michael originate from? Like, do you know what I mean? Let's have a look here. Okay, where does because it's like Saint Michael, right? Is Archangel Michael originate from? Let's check this out. Christ is the center of the angelic world, okay? They are his angels. They belong to him because they were created through and for him. Catholic tradition. Okay, Catholic tradition calls Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael archangels. The word archangel comes from Greek words, arch, which is prince, and angelos, which is messenger. Okay, cool. There we go. We have some clarification, right? So it's interesting. It's kind of like, well, if they came through God, like, what's wrong with them? Like, it's kind of like, well, didn't you come through God? So, like, isn't there something wrong with you then? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's, like, if we're all, like, coming through God, is there something wrong with us because of that? Like, it's kind of like blew these out the window, right? And we do believe in Archangel Michael. Yes, see? So this is where I'm like, you know, this is bad, and this is like, I'm like, but hang on a second, aren't the archangels from God? Like, isn't that, you know, like, it's just like, for me, I'm a little bit like in disbelief about it, because so many people are now questioning their heads and, you know, all this sort of thing. And like, for me, what I was thinking about too, like, I've heard some people, or I think even she was saying, you know, you should burn them, or you should get rid of them all, or, you know, this sort of thing. And it's kind of like, wow, that's how I would kind of feel about an ex-boyfriend. If I was really angry, I'd want to burn everything I own from him, like, you know. And then once I work through the grief, well, then I'd probably be like, oh yeah, I just don't need that thing anymore, rather than like, you know, let's like burn it because it's bad and get rid of it, it's the demon. Like, I don't know. So, like, in this space of Archangel Michael, for example, I'm just like, wow, you know, like, the archangels came from that. I was sure, you know, as well as a little bit of disbelief. A friend of a friend said she saw her doing live readings and a talk. This friend of a friend is very good and know a medium healer in Perth. She said, not exact words, Doreen seemed to lack in her belief, so to speak. This happened a number of years ago. Yeah, isn't it interesting? And this is where I feel like she's so, you know, when we talk about trusting your intuition is about trusting your intuition over any outside influence at all. Like, at all. Right? And so what I'm sensing, and this is what I sensed, you know, a while ago, and I was just like, oh, I just don't feel called to talk to it, but everyone's talking about it again, so I was like, okay, well, I'll say my piece on it. And I just feel like she is so conflicted with her inner beliefs. You know, like, this is the book that started it all for me with her, and this is about her story and her journey through growing up through childhood, and you know, like, moving through, you know, from being in church, from the Christian church, and then going, you know, against that from her, you know, family's beliefs. And now it's kind of like she's done that, and whatever's flicked her back into, oh shit, you know, like, actually going back to her roots in a way. But now she's feeling all this guilt for creating all this amazing stuff, where I would not be doing what I'm doing in my life purpose without her work. This one in particular, the yo-yo diet syndrome, and also losing your pounds of pain, were pivotal. Covered in Goosebumps, were pivotal books for me in healing my sexual abuse as a child and all of that trauma. These were like, without these books, I wouldn't have shifted. You know what I mean? Like, and this is where it comes into life purpose and trusting your intuition every step of the way. That if you, you know, if you're being called to doing a certain thing, and I teach this in trusting intuition, right? In trusting intuition, that it's this space of that, you know, like, wherever your intuition guides you and leads you, you need to trust that, because you don't know what the higher plan is, right? You don't know how many people writing your book could help. You don't understand how many people it could save from leaving the planet. You don't know why you're being guided to do certain things, but you need to trust your intuition that it's right for you in that moment, including her going back to Christianity now and saying all this bad stuff about her own work, you know, like whatever process is going on for her is her stuff, right? At the same time, the other sense that I was getting, and this is the connection to Lumeria and Atlantis. So like last week, I think I told you guys, if you watched my live stream, I randomly picked up this book again and I opened it up, and it was saying, you know, like the attempt to birth a new consciousness into Atlantis and the children of Lumeria brought forth, you know, and they were saying all this stuff like I read this years ago and then I'm reading it again. I'm like, how did I forget this stuff? So they're talking about obviously the human brain, right? And these are like the human brain, so left and right, and, you know, the love and the logic, and like, but they're reflections of each other. And then, you know, they're creating this, and Doreen Virtue deck talks about how Lumeria sank, but they knew it was going to sink and they left long before it did. They went to Atlantis, and it's like they created, that's the tree of life there. They created the tree of life on this island, right? On Atlantis. They created tree of life. They created, like, it was almost like a replica of the brain. And I like, obviously the full story is in there, but it's like, from my understanding, they were like creating the replica of the human brain. But is it like the replica of the human brain, or were they birthing something into consciousness and into reality, right? And it's like this, they created it on the island, and apparently there were massive walls, and, you know, like you're only living in certain sections. Like these people were only living in this part of the human brain on the land, and, you know, in that section there was only those people and these people and these people. Now this was coming to me before live stream now, reminding me of this, and the whole like separation of, like, for example, what Doreen's doing and bagging out her own work about, you know, everything that's, you know, bad about it, but all of a sudden, you know, like just that stuff. But what happened in like Atlantis is like they recreated and replicated the human brain. There was only like a couple of people, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 people, that were only allowed to go in between like all the worlds, like into all those sections of the land. There was only, I don't know, I can't remember, 2 or 3 people that were allowed to do that. And for whatever reason, you know, Atlantis sunk, and it kind of, it, from my sense and understanding, what it did is like it's like it separated humanity. Like, do you know what I mean? Like Lemuria was like the birthplace of like everything being in oneness and everything being in harmony, and then it went to Atlantis and everything started getting separated. Like human consciousness and humanness started becoming really separate on a really physical level, and then, like, you know, with it sinking and everything, it destroyed, but it also separated even more. And it's interesting, you know, if you've been following me for the past few months, or, you know, even like late last year, it was like Atlantis rose really strongly, and then Lumeria has been coming up. And what it is, it's a bit like Christ consciousness. Yeah, Christ consciousness is oneness. It's a whole, like it includes everything. And as even John Valo talks about in here as well with the Christ consciousness, that it is a oneness. And, you know, we fell so far into separation that it's going to take us a while to get back, but we're starting to come back into this. And the whole thing, what my kind of interpretation and why it's happening and why Doreen's doing this, it's almost like, you know, she started off in a really separate Christian belief system, right? Like even in here, Ravens and Black Rain, like it talks about, you know, Christianity being like black and white thinking and everything separate, whereas paganism knows no separation. Like it's like this oneness of, you know, earth, land, fire, water, like everything is one and all connected. Like there is no separation. And it almost feels like, you know, if we look at it, Atlantis and Lemuria energy, and then with Doreen coming, you know, kind of full circle, going back to her roots about what's right for her, it's almost like she's done this journey in a sense, but it's like it's making people like us go, well, well, what's right for me, right? Now, if you are easily influenced by other people, then you'll probably listen to Doreen and, I don't know, do that. And that's fine. Like, you know, but it's like about tuning into what's right for you. And you know, it's like, it's almost like she's giving us the biggest gift about to tune into what's right for us, because nothing has an energy to it until we give it something, right? Everything is neutral until we give it something. Like take water, for example. Water holds a memory, but we can affect and change the water, right? We get affected by other people's energy until we learn how to integrate other people's energy and not be affected by it. When we learn to strengthen that sense of self within us, right? So I really feel that, Belle says her son is still promoting the angels in that work. Yeah. Isn't it interesting, you know, like, and it's just like, I think people who just, you know, like, well, you know, like listen to somebody else. It's even like my post yesterday, and I had so many people messaging me, and like so many people unfollowed me because they got triggered, and that's fine. You know, but it's like, you know, if something triggers you, it's a beacon and a calling card to look at why is that triggering me? And am I just feeling that person's energy, or is something really out of alignment in my life that I'm really needing to take notice of? Because when we really look at shadow work is an integration to come back into ourself. It's looking within instead of looking without and projecting. The separation between like Lumeria and Atlantis, it's like Lumeria is the heart, Atlantis is the head and the brain, the ego, mind, whatever you want to call it. And these separations is like us returning back to the heart and the oneness consciousness. But the key is shadow work. Yeah, our throat chakra is where shadow work is held. And if we can't integrate other people's truth and decipher our truth, yeah, our throat chakra is all about truth. It's about not just speaking the truth, but living it. Yeah, are you swallowing your truth, or are you swallowing somebody else's truth? How's your filters? You know, are you like, what are you taking in and swallowing whole? If you feel really uneasy around somebody, or you read something and then you feel sick, like have you just swallowed their truth as your truth and not tuned into like, that's just their stuff? Like, where's your energetic boundaries around that? And it's interesting, like, you know, with this, and I felt called to, I guess, get these books out, because I just thought, like, I guess I'm in, I think disbelief, but in a way of just, I don't understand it. Like, I'm like, but aren't the archangels from the religions in the first place? Like, you know, so I don't know what that's about, but, yeah. Anyway, what else wants to come through about that? Hey, Vanessa. Hey, Laurie. Does anyone else have anything they want to say about that? Horus, here we go. I'm going to read a couple of things just to see what messages want to come through about this. Oh, I see. They acknowledge that angels are messengers of God. They do not worship angels, only God. Yeah. So I guess for me, it's kind of like this separation still goes on. Like everything just is on the planet. Like there's no good, bad, or right or wrong. But in the religion, that's what they believe. So that's what they believe. Hey, Hector. So I'm just seeing what comes through. So I've just opened up randomly to Horus, which is the Egyptian god from Greece. And it says Horus's magical healing formula is to see all people in the situation through the eyes of love, see them as being sweet, loving, and pure, which they are in spiritual truth. He helps you see the current truth about issues and how to heal the situation. So very in alignment with what I was just talking about. Like, what are you taking in? What are you seeing? Are you seeing the truth? And are you swallowing that truth? You know, because that is the connection between your heart and your head, making sense of the world rather than, you know, just swallowing other people's truth. It's always about tuning in to your own internal guidance, to your own radar, to your own internal compass. Yeah. So I'm just seeing what else wants to come through. Anything else wants to come through about this? Because I still love Doreen's work. Like, I'm not going to go and burn all her books. No. Yeah, it's so interesting. So I wonder if that's why, because when you said that, I read somewhere that most religions have angels or similar in their history. Yeah, all religions, like even, you know, the pagans, like all of that, they all have, like, everyone believes in something outside of themselves. It's just that everyone's trying to put a label onto something we can't comprehend. And I think that's where the separation comes in, and trying to understand it. And that makes me wonder if that if that was the core of the longing or the wanting to understand it. Isn't it interesting, right? So from Lumeria, we come from that oneness consciousness and that oneness space, where when it, you know, separated was when whoever was, or it's consciousness remembering and understanding itself. Yeah, it's a bit like what I said the other day. So consciousness is like remembering itself. Consciousness wants to understand itself. Consciousness is having an experience of itself. So if we went from that Lumeria to Atlantis, and we're trying to like actually replicate the human brain or understand what this thing is, and through the understanding created separation, and, you know, like I say a power play, but it was like it divided it rather than kind of seeing it as the whole picture. There's like all these kind of separations through it. Who knows, right? But there is that space of really, you know, dropping into what that is. All right, is there anything else that wants to be said about this? And this is the thing, you know, with this separation, is that, you know, this is like the epitome of coming back into the light, where we are becoming conscious of things that have been hidden in the dark for a long time. You know, like this whole, like, I think what you were talking about, Sarah, about when you said found out what John of God from Brazil did, you know, like, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but I have a feeling it's about all the religions and everything that's been hidden coming out in the truth of it, right? And this is where I always say, like, consciousness is remembering itself. Consciousness is becoming conscious of itself. It's not being hidden in the dark subconscious anymore. We're dropping down into our heart, which is lighting up the subconscious and bringing the truth to the surface. There's only a certain amount of time that, you know, truth can be hidden. And we're coming into the light. We're coming into this awakening. We're coming into this, you know, revolution of human consciousness and understanding, and, you know, all of that. Like, it's time to wake up, right? So I don't know if you guys have seen, you know, this. It's like the cycle, right? The revolutionary cycle. And it's like there's, you know, falling asleep, and then there's waking up. Like, whoops, I'm going opposite the thing. Like, there's a cycle that goes on there, yeah? And we're in this time of great awakening. Like, it's only going to become more and more present. Like, everything is only going to make us more conscious. And this is where I'm saying, if you're not doing this work in 5 years' time, you're kind of going to be left behind. If you've got a slight bit of calling to, you know, teach, or you even understand energy, I really feel that, you know, like, as we continue to awake, like, it's not like we're going to go back to sleep again anytime soon. Like, sometimes we want to go back to sleep, but we can't, right? We wake up and we're like, and I just feel like, you know, with the whole Doreen thing, I just feel like she's carrying so much guilt, you know, ultimately, from my perspective and what I've seen with clients and people, when they are brought up in religion, and again, there's nothing wrong with your childhood or anything, it's just what I've seen energetically. When we are brought up in a religion, specifically, there's, you know, certain things that are ingrained in us, and then also in our blood and DNA, right? Because your parents' beliefs, yes, you can change them, rewrite them, clear them out, blah, blah, blah. However, if you're not consciously doing that work all the time, it's kind of like this, it's almost like your birthplace in a way, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just eradicate that completely. So it's always a constant choice, whether you know, leave that or come back to it. But, you know, with those kind of, you know, if you're not really healing that at the core, it's going to kind of have this stronghold over you. So what I feel like with Doreen is she's gone and kind of, you know, done her own thing, but then all of a sudden, like, that real core, you know, I don't know if it's a longing for home or whatever it is. And I'd be so curious how old she is and when this happened, you know, like from the lifespan chart, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how old she is, but anyway, you know, I just feel like she's carrying so much guilt, and that's why there's all this stuff, and she's probably getting a lot of, I don't know what the word is. I just feel like there's so much guilt driving the behavior, to be honest. Like, there's so much I could say about it, but yeah. So at its core, what is this about? It's about you learning to trust intuition. It's about you doing what's right for you. And it's also about trusting that when something is not right for you anymore, like if you can look at Doreen as like a gift in a way of, wow, she followed her heart. She did, you know, she went from like her childhood beliefs to creating all this amazing work that's changed and created a lot of the spiritual world, to also now still following her heart and what's right for her, and now going back to it. Now, the only kind of little bit that I don't really agree on is kind of like literally what I said before of, you know, instead of promoting what you hate, promote what you love, right? And it's like, you know, support and grow and focus on what you love doing, yeah? Like supporting people, growing people, and bringing awareness to Jesus. It's not like hating everything. Like the most powerful thing she could do is forget about everything she's ever created and fully just focus on what she's doing, right? And that's where I feel like it's guilt, or that I just feel like there's other influences, to be honest, driving all the hate stuff, and it's bad and it's demons and As a collective humanity, how consciousness will awake in people living in poor consciousness environments with no teachings of this type or other social problems. The 100th monkey syndrome is a question that I've been having recently. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Like how will it awaken? It is literally the 100th monkey syndrome. And it's people like us who have this conscious awareness who are doing it, you know, and it is the ripple effect out energetically. So if you haven't read about the 100th monkey syndrome, I'm pretty sure you can Google about it. There's also an awesome video that I can share as well. I'd have to find where the link is, but it's an awesome diagram of this woman who used like sugar cubes and blue water as an example to see like what's going on. It's like we're not like focusing on the top person and they're bad. It's like we're just kind of coming from the ground up and just spreading out, you know, and eventually that structure collapses. It's kind of what is going on. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, so it's exactly that, you know, the 100th monkey syndrome, that, you know, how will people awake living in poor consciousness environments with no teachings or this other social problems? And you know what, I was even feeling just the other day after the cathedral burnt down and after, you know, that global live healing that we did in Africa and moving over into South Australia and Australia as well. Like I just feel like there's already snippets where people are kind of waking up, and when I say waking up, what I'm sensing that's going on in these you know, low socioeconomic environments, that what, again, this is the same thing with trust intuition and what Doreen's doing, right? At its core, it's like what once felt right doesn't feel right anymore. It's kind of like what I've seen, I don't know, in movies and stuff recently, where, you know, warriors or people who are like bad boys or, you know, wreaking havoc, you know, in their younger years, and as they get older, they just lose interest in it. They're like, oh, like, it's not right anymore with them, and they almost lose their purpose because they don't know what else to do. And I feel like people in these environments are already starting to wake up, in a sense that the drive and the reason that they did that in the first place is kind of, it doesn't have the same drive behind it anymore. And it's like they'll still do the behaviors, but then they'll almost start to feel guilty afterwards, in a sense of like, oh, it doesn't feel right. But then I also saw them, they were like, oh, but they didn't know what to do with that feeling. So it's kind of like people will start waking up, and it's whatever they've done for all these eons of time doesn't feel right anymore, but they also don't know what to do differently. And this is where I feel like people like you, me, and everyone who's been called to this sort of work is to teach people a different way of being. I do believe if you're following me and you know, you're do my work, and you know, like you're feeling called to do this sort of work, I do believe that you have some sort of gift that involves teaching people how to live a new reality. It involves teaching people how to be a different way. It involves teaching people how to be different and be in their heart, and that's okay, right? How to live without drama, how to live without, you know, pain, how to be in this new world that, you know, everyone is working towards and creating, and we're all waking up. It's like, oh, all of a sudden all these past patterns and behaviors and karmic, you know, threads and everything just don't feel right anymore. Well, how the fuck are we supposed to, how are we supposed to be? Hang on a sec. Like, it's almost like purpose and life purpose and the reason for being is totally shifting and changing. And this is where people are feeling lost and they don't know what they're doing anymore. And it's because they can only do a certain way of behavior for so long. When we look at that consciousness scale and we're all waking up, everything is changing. I think I said this last week that, imagine life without the karmic threads. I feel like we're moving into a new reality where karmic past life patterns not even going to exist anymore, because how many of us are doing past life work and releasing karmic patterns and thresholds that have been there for eons? Like, one person does that and it affects 10 people around them. Like, how many people of us are doing that work, and that's like the ripple effect going out. Like, eventually soon past lives will be a thing of the past, because we're birthing a whole new reality where karmic law of attraction stuff is just not there anymore. Like, a bit hard to kind of comprehend, right? But when we really drop into the truth of it, well, yeah, that makes sense. Then all the wars and everything wouldn't really exist, because we've come back into that realization that we are all one, and we are coming back into that space. Until somebody knows how to do that within inside of themselves and comes to peace within inside of themselves, the world is probably still going to be a bit of chaos. And that's why I'm passionate about teaching you guys the tools about how to do that yourself, right? And then teaching other people how to do that themselves. Maybe her previous work will reach her current followers. Yes. Yes, she has birthed so much. It is a part of her energy field. She cannot get rid of that. Just like what I said around, like when we're born into a certain thing, it's kind of like these energetic things. Yes, we can clear them. Yes, we can do internal work. Yes, we can do all this stuff. However, there's a part of our makeup that is a way for a reason, right? And everything filters into everything. And, the more that, exactly right, Tammy, the more that she focuses on how bad these are, it doesn't matter. She is still focusing on them. What happens when we focus on something? It grows. So yes, let's keep focusing on how bad it is, because the universe is not hearing bad or good. The universe is hearing, let's focus on these, right? At its core, this is what the universe is listening to. Look, Jeremy, all is well. And this one, angel therapy, give us your cares and your worries, and allow us angels to take your burdens. It doesn't matter what you're focusing on, whether it is good or bad. The universe only hears what you are focusing on. Manifesting 101 lessons coming right up. It's exactly that, right? Exactly that. Ta-da! I just got covered in goosebumps. There's the main message of the entire live stream. Archangel Ariel, spread your wings. Do not hold back. The timing is perfect and you are ready to soar. There we go. I'm still covered in goosebumps. They haven't gone away. It doesn't matter what we're focusing on, guys. And this is why, it's important to get out our authentic feelings about whatever it is we are passionate about. Yeah. But the main point is that we get it out so we can clear the space, because it's when we push it down into the subconscious, this is when it gets, it's like, waiting to come up, it's a bit like, if you look at it from Doreen Virtue, kind of pushed her religion down in a way. I don't know, maybe she still respected it, but now it's kind of like coming up and she's like, oh, what have I done? It's like, it's just her misalignment to her own truth and what's going on for her. So it doesn't matter what you're focusing on. The universe is only hearing what you're focusing on. Yeah? Covered in goosebumps. An awesome live. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. If you think this live stream can help somebody, please share it so that lots of people can get this message around Doreen Virtue and about what it really means for you and our life purpose and the whole of evolution of consciousness of humanity in general. So yes, we are all in the journey and reason, and we are all listening to you. Yeah, perfect timing to hear these messages. Yes, super, super important. Hey, Doreen, you might want to watch the replay. Guys, Trust Your Intuition is open, which is exactly where you feel this internal strength, this self-confidence, self-worth. It's how you clear out the trauma of your past so you're not repeating patterns. Every spiritual tool that you need to grow in consciousness, to even step up and do this healing work, is as, you know, a healer and really stepping into it in your business to really step out and do your passion and support humanity. And even if you don't want to become a healer, it is got every single part of understanding spirituality in a way that you can not be affected by energy, that you don't get flawed, that you're learning to strengthen your internal self and clear out energy so you don't get knocked over by other people's energy. So let me pop in the link for Trust Intuition because I haven't got that yet. It is in the title of this live stream as well. And I cleared my case yesterday. You're so welcome, Georgia. So, of course, I can't just quickly bring it up. I have to log in and stuff, don't I? Does anybody have any questions? Maybe that's why I need to ask if somebody's got questions about the whole thing whilst I put this in there for you guys. There's the link for Trust Your Intuition. I'll pin that to the top there. If you've got any questions about Trust Your Intuition or anything about it, just send me a private message or you can come on this live stream as well. All right. Did I say hi, Carrie? I wasn't purposely ignoring you. I was in flow. Whilst I'm just waiting to see if there's any questions, I am going to pull one more card from this amazing Archangel deck that she was bagging out about. Oh, look. Hello from heaven. Talk about the other side. Archangel Azrael, your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. Yes, watch the replay for sure. It'll probably answer any questions you have. I know you just jumped on now. But yes, any loved ones on the other side. I know, I love this deck too. It's one of my favorite decks and I've had it for years, this one. It just feels, oh look, and peace comes from remembering that only love is real. Archangel Chamuel is the life purpose Archangel, and it is this space, you know, like when everyone can come into that internal peace, we don't feel the need to judge others. We don't feel the need to, you know, say right, wrong, good, bad, right. You know, when we have this internal peace, and I'm really sensing that there is a lot of spiritual helpers on the other side right now through this time awakening. And I actually felt this morning talking to a client that consciousness is rapidly awakening, and it just feels like there is pleather. It's almost like what I'm sensing after this morning, getting covered in goosebumps. Like they are like waiting. It's like something is going to come. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big shift in May, maybe about the second week of May, perhaps. Like I just feel energetically there is something like coming, and I know, you know, we always talk about there's something coming and it's huge, but it's been a little bit quiet, and I just feel like that second week of May on a global level, something really kind of shifts into place. And I feel like a lot of spiritual helpers are around, but also ancestors waiting. It's almost like the big shift is here. Like, I don't know what that means, but energetically that's what I'm sensing. So it's kind of no wonder that people are like, don't focus on this. Let's focus on it because that's what we need, right? All right, guys, I'm going to jump off this live stream. Like I said, share it if you think this can help somebody, or send it in a private message. If you're watching on YouTube, you can like and subscribe, and I shall see you very soon. Lots of love. Namaste.